course, in the beginning years, it was more of subsistence farming, you know, anything that the farm would need. The inventory reflects for the 1850s, which is about the midpoint of its actual operation as a store. The museum was lucky because when they got the building, it had the counters and the shelves.
If I did this all day, I'd fill up my spindle maybe 8 to 12 times, and I would walk back and forth about 2 miles.
And this is now going to be a shawl, but we have to cut it in half and put the two pieces together side by side to make a big square. Right now it's just one great big long piece.
So today, if somebody was to buy something like that, handcrafted,
They'd pay a fortune. And well, we don't ever sell anything.
Yeah.
But
it would cost a lot of money to buy it today because of
time, talent, and all of these colors are from natural dyes. There's no red dye in this. There are no Kool-Aid, none of that stuff. See inside its throat. Bread dough in a pile on the table won't rise. It'll just oozle out into a big flat pancakey looking thing. You have to support it, and in here it can hardly.
In 1876, it went on the telegram from New York City to London on the transatlantic submarine cable. It would cost you $100, and that's just for 10 words. 10 words, $100, which in our money translates to over $2,000.
And you remember it? I found a very small one, but it works.
They played baseball as a recreation on Sundays and Saturdays, but most likely it was on Sundays, even though it was a Sabbath. They needed some sort of recreational time away from all of the building the cabin and milking the cows and churning the butter, all those things. And baseball was something that they brought with them. This is a forerunner to the diamond-shaped game that modern day folks are familiar with, 9-on-9. This is a game that we play traditionally on 4th of July with children.
Always pickle time. Always. I went to pickle purveyor school, so I'm the professional pickle purveyor. So you have to go to school a good long time so you know how to poke them just right.
You leave it out here for like a day or so, you can actually see. So this is wheat. It's top heavy. So all of the grain, everything that gets ground down into flour is in the head, is in the top here. Ideally you want to harvest it when it's still a little bit green.
Okay.
That way it's less dry, it's less brittle, so when you're harvesting it you have less chance of knocking the seed out. If you kind of pick through that, inside
Seed in there.
all of that kind of papery outer coating here, that's your chaff or your thresh, that papery stuff, and that's your wheat germ or your wheat berry.
Started here on the next one. The clay's right in the center, it's all spinning around that middle point. I'm going to go to the center and open it up. That's the beginning of the inside of the pot. Potter's made primarily storage containers. This is before glass jars for canning, so you're preserving and storing your food in clay pots. Pickling, salting, and drying are your best food preservation options.
They made medicinals that were highly sought after, highly regarded. They were prolific inventors. Unlike the Pennsylvania Dutch, who kind of rejected society and advancements, the Shakers welcomed. In fact, they invented a lot of things themselves. The flat broom, they invented that. Woman Shaker invented the circular saw blade because she recognized that it was inefficient to have the back and forth movement of a blade. Half motion, it has to pause, where a circular saw blade cuts all the time. The wooden clothespin with a little spring in it, they invented that.
I was just testing for dust particles behind my eyelids. Because tin has no pores, no bacteria can get through. And because the food, as it cooled, shrunk, it also created a vacuum inside the can. 2 deterrents against spoilage. Tinsmiths would have made quite a few of these. Because they were pretty good around the farm. For calling the dog, or calling the kids for supper, or just notifying anybody of problems. Shh! Hey! Shh! I know that if I could get somebody to determine the length I would need on this piece to get each definite note, I could eventually build a whistle band.
About John Quinn, who was the tailor here, who lived in the back and worked up front. He stood right in this spot and talked about some of the same stuff. So that's the trades are interesting, but for me the people are really the draw.